All right, guys, I think we are live. Yes, it says 3 minutes or 3 seconds in. We are live with our new episode of Count the Bucket. Nick, I'm going to go ahead and ask you, did you notice anything different besides you on your screen right there on the color cast?
Yes, to the bottom, or no, to the literally to the right of me, there is a new logo amongst us. You'll see the
Yes,
blue. You
sir.
see the I don't know if that's actually black or gray, but it's super
I think
dope.
we went with black. I wanted gray, but we went with black, I think.
Black,
Uh,
super dope.
Obviously, the CTB stands for Count the Bucket. We've got another logo as well. I'm trying to get it to where it can be our background. Couldn't get it to work today, so I'm excited about that, and I know Nick is too. We spent probably hours trying to design the new logo. So if you don't care, guys that are watching us and listening to us, go to Twitter and go to Count Bucket USN and follow us on Twitter. Also, we're so thankful for Unwrapped Sports Network that give us the platform where we are able to do this. And as you can see, if you're not on Colorcast, we've got a couple of hosts today with us. Brandon, you're already on the Colorcast in the hot seat, and Ethan's on here too. Guys, as we get going, we're going to ask if you guys can hear Ethan on the Colorcast, where we can only have 3 people, but we'll see if we can get it going through here on there. So I've mentioned your names, but go ahead and let's introduce your guys' selves as we go around the horn. Nick, I'll go ahead and ask you to go first. You're my co-host, so go ahead.
For the regular listeners, you guys know me, but for the new viewers, my name is Nick Andre, who is currently live from quarantine, basketball
Live from
writer,
quarantine.
analyst. Yes, in some protocols right now, but shouldn't be too long till I get out. But basketball writer, analyst, covering everything from high school to the pros. Follow me on Twitter at Nick Andre ATR and check out the link tree, which Michael. I think you have one, Michael. If I'm not
Yes,
mistaken.
sir. Yes,
All
sir.
right, there we go.
We'll go ahead, Ethan. We'll just circle around there.
All right. My Twitter, as it says on the screen, at Ethan_Carboni. I don't tweet as much from my account. I'm going to start tweeting more about college basketball just from my account. But I write about college basketball. That's probably my biggest passion. It's probably overtaken football at this point, which is surprising to me. But huge Illinois fan, huge college basketball fan. And I also write, probably not as much as Nick, but I'm trying to get there.
Sounds good. And Brandon, who already dropped an episode of his own on Colorcast. Let's hear from you now.
Yeah, what's up, guys? I've been on Count the Bucket before a couple times. Always a blast. Happy to be black. Happy to be back. Thank you guys for having me. Yeah, you guys. My Instagram is at Brandon.Vicuña. My Twitter, same thing, just no dot. Brandon Vicuña. I got to do my first show on Colorcast today. Had a blast. Talked. Just kind of introductory, who I am, my favorite teams, my divisional preview, which so far I'm 0-1. I did pick the Titans. I did pick the Packers, who are up 7. I did pick the Niners to cover those. That's not looking great. But yeah, happy to be back, and let's talk some hoops.
And of course, I am Michael. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, just about everything using my hashtag handle, whatever, not hashtag handle is MDLawson00. And if you're looking for us on the Colorcast, you can actually now, they've updated recently where you can search for usernames. You can actually just type in the USN for Unwrapped Sports Network and find everyone that's a part of the organization. You can find us all. So go there and follow everyone, as CJ's already liked our stream going on here. Thank you so much on our Facebook page. But I will say this real quick before we get started. Everyone that watched the stream, please go to Colorcast as well and download the app and follow us on here. It helps a little bit more for our piggy bank. Also, if you don't do that, go to YouTube and follow Unwrapped Sports Network, where every show that we have is going to be funneled through there. So if you don't catch the live or you don't even know what all Unwrapped Sports Network is all about, you can go through the page and see what all we have. You'll see me on Backstop Banter Thursday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, and then also Saturdays at 10:30 p.m. or whenever Nick finds his computer on Saturdays for Count the Bucket. So we do appreciate it, and like Nick said earlier, I do have a link tree in my bios for everything, so you can go see everything on that. And it's what I like on Colorcast. You can actually go to my profile and see my Venmo, what else is it, Cash App and all that stuff, where you can actually give me another little pay. Like, hey, here's you a tip. You're doing wonderful. So we love that as well. So now let's jump into basketball. And it seems like this is a conversation that we have all the time, especially you and me, Nick. What is going on in LA? Like, we've
Oh my
known
God,
the
we're starting with
past.
this.
Yeah, I mean, we just might as well go straight into it because it takes up half the show by the time we get all done with it. But LA has been struggling from day one. We know this. And really, when they acquired Westbrook, we knew this three-headed monster wasn't going to gel too well. And we thought, chemistry wouldn't be right away. They'll figure out how to make it work. Vogel's already got a championship. He does good at coaching. So recently, in just this week alone, Westbrook was benched for the fourth quarter, right? He did not play any in the fourth quarter. And let's see here. Okay, Ethan followed. There we go. And so he got benched in the fourth quarter, and he ended up losing. Or not he, but the team. Lakers lost. And I think they lost 3 in a row this past little bit here. Vogel's on the hot seat, but they're saying that he's not really on the hot seat. Front office had to say it was okay to bench Westbrook. What is going on here? Like, is this a dumpster fire? Is this like the Miami Dolphins of the basketball realm now? Like, what is going on in LA? Like, can you give me any insights, Nick?
I'll let our guests go first because I've already, had my takes on the Lakers over the past few weeks. So I'll let either Ethan or Brandon go first.
Okay. Well, Brandon, you were in LA, right? You live out in California at least, right?
Yeah, I mean, you asked what's going on in LA. The Rams are in the playoffs. That's about the only thing sports-wise that's relevant to LA. USC basketball overrated. UCLA basketball overrated. Lakers dumpster fire.
Disrespect my man Juzang like that?
I love. Listen, Donnie's a stud. Footwork is ridiculous. Like, it's the way he can get a shot off. Crazy. But ESPN's over here tweeting out Westbrook shooting like his shot, and it hits the top of the backboard.
The backboard,
half court. Like, it's what did we think was going to happen? We all assumed they weren't going to be able to coexist. They're both ball dominant players, but I mean they, as in Westbrook and LeBron.
Right.
I don't think it's time to panic. We've seen like the past X amount of years that Westbrook's second half of the season is a lot better than his first. And they're also missing Anthony Davis. I know when Davis was on the floor healthy this year, he hasn't looked really comfortable playing at the weight he's at. And he kind of just looks like he's settling and kind of selling out right now. But it's still a LeBron-led team. I don't think I'm ready to panic with them yet. I don't think they're good, but I wouldn't panic with them.
What about you, Ethan?
I'm not going to say it's time to panic, but it sure would be nice if they could get a competent point guard in a trade involving Russell Westbrook at the trade deadline. I mean,
I agree with that, but the only thing is, and one thing me and Nick talk about his contract. I mean, what he's going to make
is horrible.
Yeah, I don't know much about contracts. I just know he's getting paid a lot, and I don't know what team's going to take him to give up a good point guard to basically just say, hey, we're going to tank with Westbrook now. Does it go back to Thunder and you trade somebody just so he can be a Thunder?
So what? I don't think that. I think not necessarily he's not a point guard, but Bradley Beal would be interesting if they could trade. I don't even know how that would work. This is just, I'm not gonna say a dumpster fire, but like they don't got much. If you're the Lakers, you'd probably have to go trade Austin Reeves, Sekou Doumbouya, Russell Westbrook, and as many picks as you can figure out for Beal. And I don't think anyone will. That's not possible. It's not going to happen. But that's just the best option in my head right now.
Right. I think that's a little extreme as far as giving up for Beal because Westbrook's a great player. He's a triple-double king right now. My only thing is, as far as coming into the season, this is kind of what I thought. And, Nick, I want you to just kind of piggyback off of this and give what you thought. From day one in preseason, what I thought they'd be doing is, okay, basically – LeBron, I'm going to sit out this first game. AD, I'll sit out the second game. Westbrook, I'll sit out the third game. And they almost do a rotation all year long where they're resting and doing their minute or whatever they call it. I can't remember, management of some sort. I'm lost a word on that. And each person be able to take over a certain game. Like Westbrook and Anthony Davis, I think would be fine. Anthony Davis is hurt. It's just kind of like Brandon said. LeBron and Westbrook, two ball dominants, it's hard for them to both be on the floor at the same time. So I kind of figured that that's what would happen. It just seems like nothing has really gelled, and all of a sudden, it's just everything falls to either Westbrook's fault or Vogel's fault. And I don't think it's Vogel's fault at all because it's kind of hard to coach these guys in the format that they basically have them. I don't see a lineup where all three of them excels, and that's what you want to do as a coach. So I don't really think it's Vogel's fault. I mean, he just won you a championship 2 years ago, so it's kind of weird to have your head coach 2 years ago, 2 years removed, whatever you want to say that, and then be saying that you're going to fire him because of this season. But it didn't work out the way I thought it was going to. They didn't do what I said. Load management. Thank you, David, as he's bringing in on our Facebook comment. We do appreciate that. But I just think Westbrook's not the guy for him in LA, but I don't think you can get rid of him. I thought he wouldn't be on the team after trade deadline by the time it comes to All-Star break. But at this point, I just don't think you can get rid of him. Like, they got to figure out how they're going to play him and make it work. Like, I don't think Westbrook could be a second-string player. Not saying that he deserves to be a second-string, but just to not have him on the court with LeBron. Like, those two guys can't play together at all, in my opinion. Nick, what do you think on this?
I don't really think there's really a panic button to really hit because the Lakers are just really not that good, to be honest. I mean, obviously, we've had our conversations about it, but everybody's just speaking about the trade deadline and everything, but the Lakers don't really have any moving pieces at all. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you see a lot of these trade scenarios about Jeremy Grant from Detroit. There was a trade rumor that popped up sending Westbrook to the Rockets for John Wall. I don't think that will happen either. Like, the Lakers, they just don't have any moving pieces, and it's unfortunate, but they're stuck with what they got. So, even though we all agree that it doesn't work, but they got to figure something out, which is the unfortunate thing. And I did hear some news yesterday saying that the Lakers are thinking about or possibly considering putting Westbrook to the bench. But in my opinion, I don't think that really makes them better either, though. Like, sending Westbrook to the second unit, to be honest. So it's just, I don't know. It's just a weird situation that Frank Vogel's in. I don't think that he should be fired just because at the end of the day, it's not necessarily his fault. He can't go out on the court and make layups for Westbrook. He can't go out there and give that team any effort because at the end of the day, I mean, even though the Lakers aren't that good on the court with as far as chemistry, but a lot of them don't give a lot of effort. Like, DeAndre Jordan is getting cooked on defense. Dwight Howard's not what he used to be. So it's just, it's just a team that just doesn't have many good players as far as chemistry and then also effort. So unfortunately, the Lakers are just really, unfortunately, they're just forced to really just like utilize what they got.
So
Yeah,
go ahead.
I can't get mad at Vogel. And I don't think Vogel's that good of a coach anyways. I mean,
ouch.
He has LeBron. When you have LeBron, your job's a lot easier. Your job does come a lot harder when you're in LA. Like, we have the bright lights. The Lakers, there's no doubt, are the number one team in LA when it comes to basketball. But it's hard. Like, you can't give Vogel all the blame when your team's not healthy. We haven't seen them with Kendrick Nunn. We haven't seen them with Anthony Davis. I mean, yeah, the team doesn't have chemistry, but its injuries do play a part, and I know it sucks. But like, you can't give him all the blame just for injuries. He's not a doctor. You can't just medically heal these guys in 3 days and get them all back on the court and ready to play. It's LeBron's carrying a bigger workload. He's having a great season, but. Yeah, like, thank you. They're a great 2K team. Like Nick said, they're just not that good, but we haven't seen them fully healthy.
I mean, that's actually really good points, and I want to say that's why I would say it's not Vogel's fault, but I didn't even think of it on that part as far as they're not being completely healthy. So, I think I really like what Nick said. It's almost like you can't hit panic on this team. Because, I mean, you can't really make them any better because I don't see how you can do that. So I like that point too. But we'll go ahead and kind of continue on. We may end up being – whoops, that's not the button I want to hit. Trying to not to make this show extremely long. trying to do something here. I should have done this earlier, but I just found it. I'm trying to share my screen, as they say. Hmm.
Let me just get this out the way. Yes,
Go ahead.
Jimmy smoked a layup yesterday for the game. It's okay. We're still 1 or 2 in the East. Let's just move past that and let's just get that out of the way because it sucked. It hurt my feelings. He should have made the layup, but it is what it is. Go Heat.
Go Heat. I agree with you.
Wait,
I
who
love the Heat.
blew a layup?
Jimmy.
Oh,
Butler.
well. Nobody even noticed.
Yeah, it's okay. So as I got pulled up on the screen here, sorry for you guys that are going to be watching the podcast on this later or listening to us. I guess you're not watching podcasts, listen on podcasts, or listening to us on the Colorcast. But what I'm going to be playing in the background here, I don't think it'll be any music going on or volume going on, is the hard foul that happened with the Chicago Bulls. Caruso, they just said today, does have a fracture, I think, in the wrist, and he will be out for 6 to 8 weeks, I do believe it said. So I want to know what you guys – I want to know two parts. First, what do you all think of the foul? And then we'll dive more into what do we expect for the Bulls too, because they're having some injuries right now. So, Brandon, we'll just jump to you real quick. What do you think of this foul here?
I didn't think it was as bad as a lot of people did. I did think it was a hard foul. I think the fall makes it a lot worse. I think if Caruso lands on his feet and there isn't any structural damage, we're not really talking about it. It's just one of those scary plays that freak accident. And we know Grayson Allen has a history of kind of being an asshole, going back to college, sticking his leg out. And it's a bad look, especially for him. But I don't think there was any malice intent, and I don't think it was a dirty play. I just think injury, freak fall.
Okay,
See,
all right.
I would disagree with
Ethan,
you.
you're totally different, ain't you? Yes, thank you.
Yeah. It also doesn't
He's
help
from
the fact
Illinois.
that-
Of course he won't feel that.
All right. Well, here's the thing. After the play, if you go to the bench and smile at the guy without offering to help or anything, it kind of looks, I'm not gonna say intentional, but it definitely wasn't a basketball play. Or if it was a more so aggressive. Like I saw in the chat earlier, someone said an 80s, 90s play. That might have not been a flagrant 2 in the 90s, but that definitely would have caused something.
My thing on it is I'm okay because what I was always taught, if you're going to foul a player, do not let them score. So
Right.
I'm okay with that. The problem that I do have, and I had to close it out because it was lagging up a little bit, is once that he hits him with his left hand, he comes back around with that right hand to try to grab another arm to make sure he doesn't score. That's what I think is probably the more excessive part of it and what I don't like. If it had been any other player, I'm probably okay with it. Hey, it was just a hard foul. He went all out. But since Grayson does have a history of this back in college, tripping a player and saying he didn't mean to do it, and then the very next game he tripped another player on purpose, this guy's got issues. Even in Duke, didn't they send him to anger management for a few games or for a few days at least? So this guy's got a history of being dirty. So I think he almost deserves some type of suspension or a fine on this. I don't know if they've said anything yet or not, but if a man doesn't have a history of doing anything, then you can't really think that it's too dirty. But since he has a past of doing dirty plays, I don't think he should go unpunished on this, because I'm trying to think who it was. I watched a video on it, and they actually said the guy could have ruined Caruso's career if he would have broke his hand a little more differently or something like that, or hurt some way other than the way he did. So my thing is, foul, don't let them score, but at the same time, you don't need to be taking them out where it could injure a career. So that's how I feel. Let's see here. Michael Lawson I coached this guy years ago and taught me that if you're going to foul, make sure that you don't score, but never hurt him. See, man of my own words even years after saying that. So I was a great coach too, guys, just so you all know. Let's see here. Yes, the trip was against Kentucky, if I remember. I don't think he tripped anyone in Kentucky. It's just we can't stand Duke. When Duke plays, we think it's automatically against us, so it doesn't matter. Nick, what's your opinion on the foul?
I definitely don't think that it was intentional, but I'm basically reiterating what y'all said. Like when you look at the history of Grayson Allen having these type of plays, it does look bad from his perspective. So, considering that Caruso has to be out for about 6 to 8 weeks, I do believe that he should have a suspension, even if he didn't intend to do that. But considering that it did happen, because at the end of the day, the NBA just has to protect the players at full cost. So, so for Caruso to have surgery and have to miss time, I think is definitely a bad look. And a lot of people may have forgotten or may not even know, but I think this was like a few games ago when the Bucks played Memphis and John Morant was going to the basket and Grayson Allen also clotheslined him as well. So,
yep.
It's kind of like what y'all said. I mean, honestly, Grayson Allen just has a history of this. It sucks for him because he's honestly had a pretty good year for Milwaukee this year. Really starting to find himself after his first 2 years in the NBA. So I just hope that this doesn't continue on for him because, like, besides the hard fouling and everything, he's actually a really good player. So I just hope that he can figure out a way to just kind of overcome this.
This is probably the most. I said no, he's not. He played for Duke. He's not good. Like he's probably the most hated player in the NBA. And it's that little smirk that he does. I can't stand him. Like when he does something wrong in that little smirk, like, yeah, I didn't really mean it. I mean, even like Ethan said, he smiled at the guy on the bench. I mean, the dude's Grayson, I don't know you and I apologize, but I do think you're a brick. Just going to go ahead and say that. But Ethan, if he's not, come on the show, Grayson, and we'll talk about it and get to know each other and, maybe buy me a house or something because you got the money.
I'll watch that. That's going to be a ring fight. I'm going to be in the middle just, trying to stop the bleeding.
I'll just be chilling, kind of.
So I'm going to ask you this, Ethan. It was a basketball play. Old dude got hurt, fractured wrist, 6 to 8 weeks, has to have surgery. I don't think they've said anything on suspensions or anything yet. Then I think of the Joker who threw his shoulder into the back, Morris suspended 1 game. Do you think he should be suspended 1 game or more? Because at least Jokic wasn't an actual play, when he did his and he got suspended 1 game. But I do feel like Grayson, to me, and I'm going to go to you since you actually think it was excessive or on purpose as well. What do you think a suspension should be?
Realistically, it's probably going to be 1 game to 5 games. I'm seeing some stuff online. As long as Caruso's out, it should be him. Obviously, that won't happen.
Yeah,
that's never been a rule. But I'm probably going to go with 2 or 3 games. And personally, I think my idea of a unique fine should be if it's like more excessive, instead of the team having to pay for the guy's medical bills, it should come out of Grayson Allen's pocket along with the suspension.
I mean, that would be interesting.
It'll be like pocket change to him, but like still, just make him know he screwed up.
I mean, I kind of like that, I guess. Brandon or Nick, do y'all want to give a prediction on suspension if there's going to be one? I know y'all didn't really think it was excessive or anything, but I'll give you a chance to at least say.
I'll say 2 games.
Okay.
Just because Caruso does have to miss time, at least 2 games.
Brandon,
make sure you request the hot seat again.
I don't think any games. I think a fine.
Actually, we can still hear him on here.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I don't think any games. I think more of a fine. We see flagrant fouls all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you can suspend him just because of how the injury was. I'm sure, like, you can fine him for it, but it's just, like I said, I think it was more of a freak accident. It sucks that it happened, but yeah, I don't think any suspension. If max 1 game.
I think 2 games what it should be. I agree with Nick on there, or even Ethan is saying from a 1 to 5 game leeway there. But see here. Now here I want to transition, staying with the Bulls on this. I'm trying to find their schedule here, but this is not looking good. This here, 21st. So going back to January 12th. Yeah, we'll start there. January 12th, the Bulls played Nets and they lost to the Warriors, lost to Boston, lost to Memphis. So that's a 4-game losing streak. They beat Cleveland. They lost to the Bucks, and now they will be playing tomorrow the Magic. Do we think that the Bulls with this injury may be falling out of the top 4 or 5 in the SEC, about said, in the East Conference?
I mean, it's not just this injury. I mean, they got Zach LaVine's out, Lonzo Ball is out, Gary Jones Jr. is out, so the Bulls have been hit. Yeah, something like that. So the Bulls are just basically hit with injuries, and you could tell like it's really cost them, especially going up against tough teams like Golden State, Brooklyn, and even Milwaukee last night. And honestly, I mean, the road's just going to get even tougher. And it honestly, like, it just sucks for Caruso too, because Caruso had just came back into the lineup as well. So, you know, they do have DeMar DeRozan, and they still have Nikola Vucevic, but you know, without a lot of their like main core players, the Bulls are really going to be struggling over these next few weeks.
Oh, absolutely. Anyone else want to go on that?
We get Orlando.
Nah, Brian, you go.
I don't think their schedule is that bad. Where, I mean, long term, yeah, it's going to suck, but I think when's the All-Star break? The what?
Probably like the 15th or something. I can't remember.
15th, right?
Something like that.
Okay,
the trade deadline, I think,
February.
is the 10th, so it should be shortly after that.
So Wednesday, I think their last game for the first half of the season is the 16th.
Probably like a week after the
Yeah.
deadline.
Yeah, their schedule here, I finally got it pulled up. February 16th, they play the Kings, and their next game is Thursday the 24th against the Hawks. So I'd say it's somewhere after the 16th.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
I think their schedule is pretty favorable. I mean, they have to go – they have games against Philly, Phoenix, Charlotte. But other than that, it's Sacramento, OKC, Orlando, Toronto. I think they stay top 4. Yeah.
Okay. David here says 4 seed is the lowest for him. Cam saying, yes, I think losing Caruso is bigger deal than people think. I think Caruso is one of the best guards defenders in the league. He is good. I think playing with Lakers kind of hid his talent. I remember he actually was in the SEC playing for Texas A&M, and he looked pretty solid actually. But just looking through here, I had it pulled up. Okay, their next so many games here. They got Magic, Thunder, Raptors, Spurs, Trailblazers. Those are some games in there that they should be able to win, even hurt, I think. But I think Spurs, Trailblazers, and Raptors could be in the air either way on those. And then going in, that takes them to the end of January. February, they've got Magic, Raptors, Pacers, 76ers, Sun, Hornets, Timberwolves, and Thunder, and that puts them up to February 14th. So I kind of agree. I didn't look at their scheduling yet. So, I mean, some of the schedules that they have are a little bit of the weaker type. So I'm okay with that. I think that helps, but they are very hurt. As Nick said, 3 or 4 of their main guys are out. Right now, they are in second place, only a half game back from the Nets to be in first place. But looking here, the 5th place is Cavaliers, and that's 2 games out. So, I mean, if they lose 3 or 4 in a row, I could see them falling really far. So, I actually think they're going to fall probably 6th or 7th seed before these guys come back. Ethan, where do you think they're falling to?
I think at lowest they're 4 seed for the playoffs. I think they might float a bit between that 6, but I could see them staying at 2, to be honest. It really depends. I'm high on Io. I'm a Illini fan. That's going to be a given. I think that he's probably the best defensive guard on the Bulls. So I don't think losing Caruso, I think it's a big deal. But I feel like we've seen Io as a second rounder come in, play big minutes on the defensive and offensive side, and convert.
Okay. Nick, what about you? What do you think? Do they think they fall back in the rate? Like, how far back do you think they fall? Because, I mean, they're injury prone right now. They're definitely going to be losing some of these other games, I think. David here saying that Miami won.
I don't think they'll drop that far. Probably third or fourth. To be honest, when you think about it, because Brooklyn, Brooklyn's without KD for a little while too, so they still have James Harden. Then they have a part-time Kyrie. Milwaukee seems to be getting back healthy, even though they're still missing guys like Brook Lopez. But they still have guys like Giannis, Chris Middleton, and Drew Holiday. Still that big three there. Miami's on the rise. Philly's on the rise. Joel Embiid, in my opinion, is emerging as an MVP candidate. So, with that being said, I feel like the Bulls, they might fall to at least 3 or 4. Honestly, I don't know. For some reason, I just can't see them dropping further.
I think that they'll actually drop probably 5 or 6, if not even 7, until the guys come back healthy. That's kind of where I was looking at. Now, at the end of the year, I think they'd make their way back up to probably 4 or 5, like you guys are saying. So I do agree with y'all on that. But I was kind of thinking like the immediate with this injured lineup, where do you think they'd fall back to? But I'm with y'all on that. 3 or 4, I think might be a little bit high for this team because Philly's going to do something, we think, as far as trades to get rid of Ben and do something there. And I think that will improve them having a player actually be on the team and play. Heat, I think, even beginning of the season, I said was my number 1 team. And the Bucks are coming around now. So I don't see them above 4. But, okay, let's see here. Want to transition something else? Nick, what do you want to go to next?
I honestly have no idea. I don't know if this is on y'all's topic list, but let's talk about Joel Embiid and how he's been emerging as a MVP candidate. Because obviously everybody knows the circumstance. No Ben Simmons there. They still, for some reason, Daryl Morey fails to make a trade. They could have had De'Aaron Fox by now, but Daryl Morey for some reason says no. What an idiot! Pardon me, but Joel Embiid, even despite all of the negativity that's going on in Philly, he's been playing at a high level, and honestly, he's been doing this for a while now. So I think he deserves a lot of love, and he's definitely creeping up in the MVP race.
Do you want to go ahead as we talk about him? Give your top 5 in any order that you want to for your MVP.
Yeah, so I'm gonna still say Steph number 1 just because that's my guy, and I feel like he's been the most consistent guy this year. Number 2, I'll say Jokic. I'll say Jokic at number 2.
Okay.
3, I'll go Giannis. 4, I'll go Embiid, and 5, I'll go Ja Morant.
Okay. So you got Steph, Joker. Who was your third? Giannis, Embiid, and then
Giannis, yeah.
Ja. Okay. All right. Who wants to go next? Ethan or Brandon?
MVPs or
MVPs, and then we'll talk about Embiid with that as well. We'll kind of combine the two.
I completely agree with Nick. I think the only difference is I'll flip my 1 and 2. I think I have Jokic still 1, Steph at 2. I think we have the same 5, maybe in a different order. I'd switch Steph and Jokic. I think I'm going to go ahead and put Ja at 3, maybe 3 or 4. It's what he's been like. He's been a killer the entire season. Embiid is
facts.
He's been killing, but his last 13 games have definitely put him in that upper echelon of the MVP conversation. But just because he's been doing this the entire time. He's been going at people's throats in the West. no problem going up against any guards, Steph, Devin Booker, all of them, and he's been doing it at a high level this entire time. So I'll put him 3, and then I'll go Giannis and Embiid.
Even Perry and the Colorcast guys is saying that Jaw's on fire as well. Perry, if you don't care, go ahead and drop your top 5 MVP as of right now. Brandon, can you give me a quick recap of who you said there? Because I think you switched Joker and Steph, right?
Nikola Jokic at number 1, Steph, Ja, Giannis, and then Embiid.
Okay. All right. Ethan, who you got?
I'm going to go Steph, Jokic, Giannis, DeMar, then Ja.
Steph.
No,
say
Embiid.
that again one more time.
Steph, Jokic, Giannis, DeMar, Ja Morant.
Okay.
Joel Embiid's my honorable mention at 6.
Okay. I mean, that's fair.
I can't put anyone in Philly in my top 5 for anything.
Okay. All right. That's fine. So for me, I've got Jokic at number 1, just with his numbers right now, is 25.9 points, 13.9 rebounds, and 7 assists per game. And then I've got Embiid I've got Giannis at 2, Embiid at 3, and then I actually have oh shoot, I messed up. Let me go back here and look. Okay, I've got Steph at 4, and then Chris Paul at 5. Back up, don't hate. Anybody going to complain about my list?
So I want to ask, like, what are people's like definition for like the MVP race? Because I don't know. It just seems like like when one person has a good week, like we automatically put them like in that top list as far as MVPs. But just a few weeks ago, we would have never even mentioned that person. Like in my opinion, like if you're an MVP candidate, it means that you've had a consistent season. You've been doing this at a high level from the first game to now, and have even elevated. But it just seems like like over the past few weeks, like obviously it's going to change because of injuries, but it just seems like there's always an MVP favorite every other week. Like for example, like Ja Morant's a lot of people's MVP favorite, like at the top, based off of what he's done the past few weeks, which I'm not going to take away from him. But even though I love Ja Morant so much, I just don't see him as being the front runner for MVP.
Right. Did somebody put him at number 1? Or are you just saying other people are saying, okay. Well, I'm a huge Steph Curry fan.
Yeah,
I just love the way he plays, but he has actually cooled off quite a bit here recently. I think he got his first 30 points since like Christmas or something like that. So it's almost been a whole month before the guy who scores so many points and shoots so many threes and makes them has had over 30 points. So that's why I've backed him off, because he has cooled down some, and I do think he's been jumped some. Now, doesn't mean out of the top 5. Maybe that might be a bit extreme, but I also think Chris Paul, his leadership and what he does, I think last game he had in the fourth quarter like 13 points or something. He's averaging over 10 assists per game, 5 rebounds almost, and 14 points. Doesn't sound great, but as a point guard, I just feel like his role with the Suns is huge. Like, you can't just go on stats with him. That's me. Now, I'm also the kind of guy that doesn't really take MVP the way your writers and everything else does. Like, I actually think Anthony Davis, when he was with the Pelicans, should have won MVP because he was the most valuable player on that team compared to anyone. He was off that team. They did not even make the playoffs. To me, Chris Paul is not on this team. The Suns are not nearly as good as they are now. So I'm probably a little weird on how I do some of mine, but at the same time, that's what makes the world go around.
But you can honestly, it's like you could say the same thing about other guys. Like without Philly, or without Embiid, would Philly be a playoff team? Without
absolutely
without Ja Morant, like what I'm saying. Even though there was a stretch where Grizzlies were good without Ja, but would they be a top 4 seed in the West? Probably not.
Right. And that's even here with David. I mean, we didn't even say Jimmy Butler, who, I mean, that team is so deep, but at the same time, without Butler, they're not the same team.
That's the way that he'd been playing without Jimmy, though. It's scary. They don't miss a beat. Like when Bam was gone, Jimmy was gone, they were still hooping.
They really were.
turned into like one of the best wing defenders in the NBA.
And that's even speaking of Ja, when Memphis killed, I want to say it was the Thunder by like 73 points. Ja didn't even play that game. So, I mean, some of these MVPs, I'm not saying that they shouldn't be deserving on there, but these teams are playing just as good without some of them. Now, with load management, they have to be used to that. But I honestly don't think Philly would even be relevant without Embiid. That's why I think I said he was at 4 on my list. I just had Stephen Curry down just because he has been in a slump for about a month. Now, again, I totally agree with you. The list changes from day to day, week to week. But at the same time, if they are in slumps, they kind of have to go down. Do you all think that Joker is going to win it back-to-back years? I think right now you almost have to say he's going to be the one that wins it. But I know the NBA don't like to give that MVP trophy to the same people a few times. Anyone else?
I mean, if we're going right, like if the MVP award was handed out today, then yes.
Mm-hmm. Right. Okay. Embiid, like, I kind of want to go with what Nick was wanting to say. Embiid has been a monster here lately, and I think where he's missed a few games that he will be in the top. I actually think he'll be number 2 by the end of the year, but I just have him at 4 at the moment. But I do think he'll work his way back up, especially whenever they do get someone to run the point guard for them, which I love Maxey, obviously, a Kentucky fan. But I think Embiid will have a chance to be the number 1, but I think he'll finish 2 this year when the season ends. Do y'all want to go ahead and go into our top 5 NBA teams as far as the whole league? Who are your top 5 teams right now?
We can. One of y'all can go first.
Ooh.
Brandon, you want to go first? Yeah. Now, when I'm doing mine, I'm saying as far as like hot team right now.
Okay.
May not have the best record, but who I think right now at this day and time are the best teams showing right now. That's how I'm doing mine.
I mean, I think I'll go ahead and start what Phoenix is doing. They're probably my number 1, still number 1. They've been hot all season. I mean, they don't even have double-digit losses yet. Like you said, Chris Paul's been an amazing leader for them all season. Just kind of picking up where he left off last year.
Mm-hmm.
Memphis, probably 2. I'll go and be biased. I'll put Miami top 3.
There you go. That's my boy.
We haven't missed a beat. No Jimmy, no Bam. We finally get both of them back. We slipped up yesterday, but other than that, we'd won I think 9 of the last 10 at home. Just we're a hot team right now.
So that's 3, right?
Yeah, and then I'll go Milwaukee, and then to close out Philly.
Oh wow, okay. All right. I think Nick is so mad about this whole show right now. He is so mad about all of our choices right here.
Well,
Ethan, who you got in your Ethan, who you got in your 5, and then we'll go to Nick.
The Suns at 1, obviously I think you remember, Michael. I mean, you had a conversation, or it was me and Nick. I didn't think the Suns were going to even be a top 3 seed. That was my hot take. I thought that they were going to completely plummet from last year and fall off.
Mm-hmm.
They've proven wrong.
Yes, they have.
Or at least so far they have. Anything can happen. And then number 2, if we're going just hot right now, I feel like you got to go Grizzlies, 3 Mavericks, and then I'm going to put the Heat at 4, and I'll put the Cavs at 5. Just for top 5 that are at the top of my list as of the past week or so.
Okay. All right, Nick, who you got?
So number 1, I'll agree with everyone. I'll go Phoenix just because they have been one of the best teams in the NBA. Chris Paul doing his thing, Devin Booker, DeAndre Ayton, who was having an underrated season. They have been able to keep themselves afloat, even with the midst of like teams like Golden State, who's got a lot of who had a lot of momentum, and others. Phoenix has definitely been one of those teams that's been consistent all year, so you definitely got to give credit to them. Number 2, I'll go Miami. I'll definitely go with Miami. Obviously the injuries, Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo just came back, and the fact that they've been able to keep themselves afloat throughout this year is definitely remarkable. For some reason, a lot of people aren't talking a lot about Miami, which is crazy to me. Maybe it's just because after what happened last year or so, people don't really believe in them. But I mean, coming into this year, I said that Miami was going to have at least a legitimate chance of going to the conference finals, and they're definitely looking like that. Number 3, I'm going to say Dallas. Hero. Number 3, I'm going to say the Mavs.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm going down. Dallas has had a pretty good past few weeks, honestly. They're definitely not one of my top contenders, but if we're talking about over the past few weeks, I'll say Dallas is definitely in that conversation. Number 4, definitely the Grizzlies. They're just continuing to ascend as a young unit led by John Morant, Jaren Jackson Jr., but they also got great supporting cast. Desmond Bane, in my opinion, can be a most improved candidate. Guys like Zaire Williams who have stepped up tremendously. Obviously, the acquisition of Steven Adams last year and the trade for Valanciunas has turned out to work well for them. So Memphis overall just has a really great team. I'm definitely happy with what they got. And
now,
number 5, I'll go with.
Can Bane be MVP or not MVP, but most improved player because he's a rookie?
He's not a rookie.
He's not? Was last year's
no, he's
first
not.
year?
I think he's in like his second, third year, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. I just got a rookie card this year, and I was thinking it was this year's, but it was probably last year's set. Then I didn't pay attention to it. Okay.
No, Desmond Bane has been in the league for a minute now, but he honestly, besides that, he could definitely be the most improved player if he continues. Because he's upped his average. I think he was averaging 7 last year. Now he's averaging around 17 this year. So Desmond Bane is definitely doing it too. Oh yeah, Bane is great. And then number 5, I'll go with the Bucks. I'll go with the Bucks. They're finally starting to hit their stride for me. To me, now that they're all healthy, even though, like I said earlier, they're still missing Brook Lopez. But once he gets back and he gets to flow in the lineup, that'll definitely make a big difference in the middle. So I'll definitely go with the Bucks number 5.
Okay, I just found the card. Bane. Go ahead.
The whole Memphis, because Nick didn't mention one guy on Memphis that I was really waiting for. I'll give you a hint. He went to Oregon. His name's Dylan Brooks, who is averaging
18 He's been out.
Points. He has been out, but if I can.
Brandon just want to say something about an Oregon Duck. Let's just be honest, okay?
If I can.
Because they're mostly irrelevant in the NBA nowadays.
The Celtics suck, but who cares? Bul's on the Celtics now with Peyton Pritchard. It's awesome.
Okay, so my top 5. After hearing you guys, I may change it up a little bit, but I do have the Suns number 1, hands down. I think unanimously we're all agree on that. At number 2, I actually, as far as having a hot team right now, I have Grizzlies at number 2. At number 3, I wanted to go with, and I'm going to stick with it because I love them, is my Heat. Miami has just been awesome. And what I'm actually worried about when they actually get full healthy here, that some of these other players that have been hot will just kind of fizzle back out on the bench. So I hope they can keep it going. I want to put them higher, but I'm trying not to be a homer on that, so I'll put them at 3. At 4, I wanted to say Warriors, and I'm going to stick with it. I'm not changing. I'm going to say my 4th team is the Warriors, even though Steph has slumped a little bit. They're still the Warriors. They've only got 13 losses. They're a great team. And 5th, I want to go with the Bucks. I want to say the Nets because they're number 1 right now, but the Bucks have been playing. They're on a 3-game win streak right now. They really seem like they actually are starting to gel back to what they were last year. And that's just what I want to say as my top 5 as of right now. Everyone okay with everyone's top 5? Anyone say something dumb? Because if so, that's what makes the show happy. Y'all are
I'm fine with everybody else.
Good. Well, I think that's really all the topics that we had. Did I miss anything that we talked about possibly discussing?
If y'all want to possibly get into a little bit of Clay.
Let's go. Because I actually want to ask you about how Clay's doing. I haven't been able to watch too many games.
Well, though, I mean, I mentioned it last week when I was by myself. Is that with Clay, it's not a race, it's a marathon. So obviously, watching Clay, sometimes he does kind of want to force things. Like for example, even the first game against the Cavs, when literally the first possession he drives to the basket, and it's like 2 or 3 guys on him,
Mhm.
and you can just tell that Clay's just like filled with like so much joy of being back there on the court, especially
Oh,
after being gone for 2 years. But you can also like see the other side where the Warriors are really trying to protect him and really trying to keep him avoiding another bad injury. So with Clay, obviously, he's getting a lot of shots up, which is great. But the only good thing that's not about the only bad thing that I will say about it is that the rest of the guys haven't been able to contribute at the level that they were before, like Andrew Wiggins, and now obviously Jordan Poole, who was starting for the majority of the season. Now he has to go into the 6-man role, and the fact that he's not getting a lot of minutes alongside Steph, now he's not really getting the best looks that he has been in the past. So I think this whole situation with Clay is that obviously with Clay coming back, we obviously obviously a lot of people will elevate the Warriors' chances of winning a championship, but it has been a slow process that's still going. And hopefully they'll figure things out by March, April.
Okay. I do want to address one thing that hurts my feelings. Christian, I hope you're in here. I missed it on the color cast. He back said that Westbrook is the Dak of the NBA, and that just kills my soul because I'm a Cowboys fan. And Christian, I hate that you said that, but I still respect you. Dak is awesome, and he's going to lead us to the promised land next year. So just want to at least say the comment was there, and I missed it, and I do apologize for that. Do you think, Nick, kind of coming back to you, that Clay's coming back is going to hurt them more because they're not getting Poole's production now? Because you're saying where he's going to the 6-man, which they work that lineup great. But, I mean, Poole actually played great the first half of the season. Do you
Obviously,
think he
it's
may
hurting us
become a
now,
trade
but
option?
no, definitely no trade. I would be so upset if we made any trades. To be honest, I feel like we have a really good squad with us, but I don't. I mean, obviously things are bad now because now everybody's having to adjust with Clay being back, which was expected. Honestly, that was one of the things that I was afraid of once Clay comes back was how is Jordan Poole going to play? How is Steph going to play? How is Wiggins going to play? How are these how are all these great scorers going to be able to adjust playing alongside Clay?
Mm-hmm.
So now obviously we have Clay. And Clay's one of the focal points now, being able to get up at least 17, 18, 20 shots a game. Now that takes away a lot of the offense from guys like Wiggins and Jordan Poole. But I feel like, within the next month or so, we'll be able to figure things out. Obviously Golden State, we have such an unselfish system where ball movement is essential. So I feel like, once everybody finds the rhythm, once Clay finds his rhythm, once everybody figures out, what sacrifices to make, well, it'll be good.
What about you, Brandon? What do you think of Golden State right now with Clay? Because I know you probably do hear some stuff out there in Cali.
Yeah. Just to think like if there's any to think like adding Clay makes the team worse, I think it's just like insane. Like we all know, like we knew they were going to go through the growing pains of finding that chemistry, but those are those were losses that you expected to endure when you get a superstar like Klay Thompson back. Everyone, I'm sure Poole and Wiggins knew their roles were going to be cut back a little bit, and I think that's what we've seen the Warriors do the past couple years is they don't have egos on that team. They know who their 1 and 2 guys are, and the rest kind of fill in the blank here, and everyone buys in, and that's what's made them such a good organization over the past couple years.
Okay, Ethan?
And Clay's been playing, I'm not going to say better than I thought, but I didn't, like you said, I forget who said it, when he drove in to like the 2 or 3 guys in the paint first game back, Clay wants to play. He's playing, and like you said, Brandon, Warriors play unselfish. I kind of want to see how far this will go because Wiggins, once his contract runs up the way he's been playing, he's not gonna. There's no reason for him to re-sign with Golden State. Jordan Poole could get valuable $20+ million contract elsewhere. I think Clay returning is going to be good overall for this season, but in the long term, we're going to be seeing these guys get dealt big contracts, and they aren't going to stay with the Warriors, and they're just going to have to keep rebuilding the support system for Curry, Clay, Draymond.
Okay. All right. I think we could dive really big because is Wiseman even back yet? He still isn't even with the team yet, is he? So I mean, this team is only
a timetable when he comes back. Honestly, I don't think so.
Okay. So I mean, this team is still going to get better. It's. I'm going to say this: it's going to be the Heat of the West because the Heat's bench that they've showed so much has been miraculous, been wonderful. I'm not going to try that.
Did you just compare the Warriors to the Heat?
Do what?
Did you just compare the Warriors to the Heat? How disrespectful
Yes,
is
I
that?
did. Disrespectful for who?
To the Heat.
I'm just saying, as far as the bench that they're going to have when Wiseman does come back, now that they got Clay back and just everyone that they have. I mean, they're pretty much – they're probably, what, about 8, 9, 10 deep, really?
Oh, yeah, the Warriors are super –
I have confidence with whatever five Spo puts on the floor at any given time. Like, I have faith.
Speaking of that, speaking of like the Heat being deep, this guy Kyle Guy is like a Tyler Hero 2.0. You think about it.
We got Jack Harlow on the court, and he's just hooping, bro. He's in crunch time.
Like, jeez.
It's crazy.
That's
and, you know,
insane.
you always hear that they say Miami it's a culture down there. I mean, it has to be the way that they're playing because it doesn't matter who they put out there. They're basically gold all of a sudden.
Duncan Robinson couldn't throw a rock in the ocean, and we said, all right, Max Strus, your turn. Let's go.
What do you think about this, Brandon? I feel like Spo should start Omar over Dedmon. I feel like Dedmon's a little slow on his feet.
He is.
Retire my guy Udonis Haslam. Udonis is robbing the Heat right now.
He's our leader of moral support. Like he's Coach UD at this point. He's just OG. Like
he's OG.
Like that's just his job title. It's OG.
I found it so funny how last year, like right as the Heat were getting swept by the Bucks, and like they showed that video of Udonis on the sideline just like throwing a chair and stuff to the ground. I'm like, dude,
that should have told everyone all they needed to know about how this team was about to come back next year.
The dude is what, 41-year-old, I think, 43 maybe?
Yeah, like 41, 42, something like that.
So the fact that he can still even be on a team amazes me. Obviously, he's not played probably in like the past 10 games in an actual game.
There's only one team that will keep him on their roster, and that's Miami. There's no other team that'll be like, all right, cool, we're going to sign you to a 10-day or whatever.
But I just feel like it's the culture. Like they have him on there because he's going to be the guy that goes to every game or every practice, busts his tail off, may not be able to do the best, but at the end of the day, everyone's going to respect him because he's doing it. And when he speaks, it's almost like a coach is speaking, and he's being a big brother to him, I think.
Like that's what I've heard. His off-season workouts, like he's going harder than like any superstar. Like he's putting in like the most work.
Really?
Yeah.
You know what? You need to work your magic and get him on the show. Like we need him on here so we can talk to him. Just make it happen, okay?
Oh yeah, I'll reach out. Do you think he wears a uniform?
I mean, yes. Just because you never know when he needs to go in and foul someone. I think last year he played a game. I want to say he played 3 minutes and had 4 fouls in 3 minutes. Like,
he got a flagrant too.
He got ejected that one game last year against Philly. I think he was going at it with Dwight.
I think so. So I mean,
and he hit a three, or he hit like a three, he hit like a mid range and a layup, and he got like a flagrant 2, and he's like, all right, I'm out.
Yeah, he's like, okay, I've ran up the court a couple of times. I'm tired. I'm gonna have to foul someone hard and get thrown out of this game because apparently I'm playing minutes. But what happens when he does hang up the shoes? Like, let's just go ahead and ask this.
Do they just assistant coach?
Do they? That's
He
what I was
gets
going to say.
his
Do they
jersey
make him a
retired.
coach? I think so. Like, is he almost like? Well, I don't want to disrespect him like that, so I'm not going to say that. But like, to me, I don't know. I'm not even going to go there because I don't want it to sound like I'm being disrespectful on it. Because I absolutely love the guy. Like, I used to play NBA like
No, he's great.
01 with him, you know. So I hope he plays for another 10 years. I mean, while you can hang with the young guys and play, dude, like keep it up.
Keep getting those paychecks. I ain't mad at
That's
you.
right. He's an overpaid assistant coach. That's for sure.
See. Millions.
It's not
Guys-
overpaid if they do the job good.
That's true. That's true. Guys, we're over an hour. It's 11:45 my time. I don't know if you guys want to talk about anything else. I don't care one bit to stand on here and just chat with you guys. Brandon, thank you for moving your camera where that creepy Joker mask isn't in the background.
I know that was the first thing I did.
Thank you. Anything y'all want to talk about? Anything on your head? We'll just keep on going. Or if y'all want to wrap it up right here, we'll go ahead and call it quits.
I'm good.
I'm good.
Decent.
Okay. Ethan, go ahead and give us what you got. Well, let's see here. We got a comment. Let me bring in David's comment real quick. Martin, Strauss, and Gabe all have stepped up off the bench big time. They really have. I think we could actually make a show just with Miami Heat and probably keep it going. So maybe next time we'll do that. Brandon, maybe that's what you need to do. Just do a Miami show. We got your support here.
I can do
Well,
that.
we have that one guy on the show. What was his name? That covers the Heat. How do we forget?
I want to say it's Mark, but I'm not 100% sure on this last name. Give me a second.
Yeah, the Wikipedia.
He actually, yeah, he's an announcer for Bally Sports down there for Miami.
Oh, Manso?
Manso,
Yeah,
yes.
that's it. Yeah.
Did you know we had Manso on the show with us?
I did not.
He was actually pretty cool. Will, that's it. Manso,
Yeah.
I was combining, I guess, there. Was it Corey Watts? That's funny. No, Corey, I don't think would talk too much on the show. But, yeah, Manso actually was really cool. He was actually in his studio. He had his tie halfway down, collar unbuttoned, like he was relaxed, saying, like, we're about to go live, so I got to kind of finish up and go on the show. So it was really neat having him on there, man. Huh. I would like to reach out to him again. Maybe if we can get him on, Brandon, you come on too, because I guess you probably know who he is a lot more than we did. And he's very, very informal for us as well. But yeah. I guess we'll go ahead and wrap this on up and call it quits. Ethan, you want to give your shout-outs real quick?
Yeah, follow at Ethan_Carboni on Twitter, as well as at ATR Madness on Twitter. That was quick. Brandon, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead and follow me on Instagram, Brandon.Vicuña. On Twitter, Brandon Vicuña. Thanks for having me on. Love to be back.
Nick?
Follow me on Twitter at NickAndreATR if you are a diehard basketball fan, and check out the link tree. That's all I got to say.
There we go. And as for myself, MD Lawson 00, and that's Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, that whole 9 yards on there. And on Colorcast, if you guys are watching that or listening to us on there, and if you are watching us, go to Colorcast. You can type in on the search bar or the search engine that they have, USN, and find every one of us on there. We appreciate the follows. We appreciate everyone that's on the app with us right now watching us. But also get on Twitter, go to CountBucketUSN, follow our Twitter pages there where Nick puts also all kinds of cool stuff, and I just kind of do the dumb stuff that you're like, what's this guy saying? But you know what? We make it cool anyways, right? Guys, we'll call this a wrap, and until next time, y'all have a good one.